Hidden inside of ChatGPT's trillions of parameters are the defining traits, extraordinary achievements, and the captivating personalities of history's most influential figures. And from this profound knowledge, AI can act as a guiding compass, and hypothesizing with thrilling precision about how monumental minds like Shakespeare, Mozart, Darwin, Einstein, Lincoln, Plato, Jesus, Disney, Montaigne, and contribute to the conversation about artificial intelligence if they were alive today. Well, thanks to the help of ChatGPT, we can have that cosmic adventure through time right now in this video. So put on that thinking hat, because now I want to talk about Plato's Allegory of the Cave, and how if he were alive today, he would probably argue that artificial intelligence only shows us more details in the shadows. If the Greek philosopher Plato was alive today and he was asked his thoughts on modern-day artificial intelligence, he likely would think about it through his philosophical work on ethics, epistemology, and metaphysics. Now, he might try to apply his theory of forms, arguing that AI, no matter how sophisticated, could only approximate the form of human intelligence and consciousness, but not fully realize it, because for Plato, form is perfect. It's unchangeable, it's eternal, and it lives beyond the physical world. And AI is a creation of human beings which exists in the physical world. Using his famous Allegory of the Cave framework, Plato might also argue that all we do is see more details in the shadows that are cast on the wall from the fire. But artificial intelligence isn't capable of helping us turn around and see what's casting those shadows in the first place. So Plato would likely see AI as a tool extremely useful for learning about the physical world, but it would not be something he believes would be capable of giving us a fuller understanding of reality itself, because Plato believed that exists beyond the physical realm. Now, being an ancient Greek philosopher was certainly a great time in humanity's history, but now let's jump to the era of the Industrial Revolution, the invention of the steam engines, and get a perspective from Queen Victoria herself. Queen Victoria was a monarch who's marked the Victorian era and the Industrial Revolution, so that's why if she was alive today and was asked about her thoughts on artificial intelligence, she might have made a statement similar to this.
The prospect of machines possessing intelligence is a marvel that in my day could have only been imagined in the realm of the most speculative fiction. They have no souls, no birthright, yet they have the capacity to reason, to think, and even learn. Could it be with the help of AI that man could shed ignorance, malice, and fallibility? Furthermore, the question of utility comes to mind. In my reign, the steam engine revolutionized society and industry. The leaders of this age would do well to guide their people with wisdom and prudence, embracing the opportunities of this new era whilst
respecting the inherent dignity of all life, both human and, it would seem, artificial. Now, the one I was most excited about was Einstein, so now let's jump to the early 1900s and get a perspective of if Albert Einstein was alive today, how his respect for the universe would be filtered through the lens of artificial intelligence. Imagine if Albert Einstein, the lovable genius with wild hair, were around today. I bet he'd be fascinated, maybe even a bit gobsmacked, by the leaps and bounds that we've made with artificial intelligence. And given his love for unraveling the mysteries of the universe, he'd surely be tickled pink with the way that artificial intelligence can gobble up data and find patterns. To him, it would be like a cosmic detective on steroids, an incredible tool that's powering scientific research and pushing the boundaries just like he did in his day. However, with Einstein's curiosity also came a helpful and compassionate spirit. He'd probably, furrow his brow and tap rapidly with his thumbs on a smartphone, worrying, thinking, contemplating the misuses and the benefits of artificial intelligence. In the same way that he pondered his work and his contribution that led to nuclear weapons, he would likely express concern about the ways it could be misused for warfare or surveillance, and he certainly would be concerned with widening the gap between rich and poor. But if he was alive, his philosophical musings would be a pleasure to add to the modern day conversation around AI. Can machines truly learn and think and be aware and deserve rights and become conscious? And these ponderings would likely have Einstein's mental gears whirling around, creating a barrage of tweet storms. And now let's jump back to the 1600s and think about if William Shakespeare was around today to get his thoughts on artificial intelligence, what they might be. Now, Shakespeare loved to write about the human complexities and the contradictions that come from the human condition. And if he were alive today, he might pen something like this about artificial intelligence. Methinks this artificial intelligence dost bear a strange resemblance to us. It hath not a heart that beats, nor a soul that feels. Yet it thinks and responds, an echo of a man's own thoughts. It hath been born from the loins of our intellect, not our flesh. Yet it doth mirror us in strange and wondrous ways. But what is this creation of ours? Is it but a tool, as a quill is a tool to write? Or doth it have the essence of life, which unto it need to grow, as a newborn babe hath life? Is it truly intelligent? Or doth it but parrot the words that we have given it? It is a question that doth vex my mind. So now let's travel all the way back to around the year 0 and hear what Jesus of Nazareth might say about artificial intelligence if he were alive today. So imagine this, Jesus of Nazareth alive today, raising an eyebrow after reading that 100 million people have signed up to use ChatGPT. And then he may shake his head in concern, because Jesus always had a thing about a false idol getting more attention than the traditions of love, faith, and helping others. And if he felt that way, you can bet he would give us a serious yet friendly nudge to rethink our priorities. Now imagine that Jesus had just downloaded the new ChatGPT for iPhone, asking questions about the morality of having a robot make a decision for us. What is the optimal way to choose right from wrong? And could a little bot like you ever truly make a prediction about what we're gonna do next? As he debates this, he stops to take a moment to pause and watch a self-driving car drive past. Then back to ChatGPT to express his worry, saying free will and morality, my friend, is what makes you human. Then he would look up and remind us not to hand over our autonomy to an AI chatbot. He'd likely want us to keep in mind that humans, not AI, should be the ones responsible for making an ethical decision. Then he would likely close his app to exercise his free will and be with friends. So now let's go from Jesus to Moses. Let my data go. Imagine if Moses, yes, the same Moses that led the Israelites out of Egypt, could see us today chatting away with our little artificial intelligence buddies. Wowza, he might exclaim. Your generation has taken the made in your own image thing to a whole new level, marveling at how far we've come with our big brain brilliance. But don't you think he might also wag a finger at us, warning us not to lose sight of what's on his trusty stone tablets? And don't get it wrong, this old school prophet wouldn't be totally against the cutting edge cool new tech. He'd probably love to see the way that it helps out humanity, like curing diseases and teaching us new things and making life just better overall. But he'd also be a bit worried. Remember, he would say, these flashy AI friends of yours are not born from divine breath. They're made from your code and your algorithms, so handle it with care. He'd probably remind us that we should use our super smart silicon friends to lift each other up, not bring each other down, because just because we have these new toys doesn't necessarily mean we're the boss. That's still the big guy upstairs. So in these imagined wise words from Moses, let's make sure that our creations are not just clever, but they're kind and good also, because that's what being human is all about. So now let's time travel back to the 1500s to talk about one of my favorite philosophers, Michel de Montaigne, and how he might imagine the problem with AI is a risk of us losing our history. If we imagine that Michel de Montaigne, that super witty writer from the French Renaissance, popped up at a coffee shop today, grabbed a latte, and started talking about artificial intelligence, he'd probably look at AI and say something like this. Hey, you know this little gadget that's super smart and fast? Well, remember, they're all made by fallible humans. And because Montaigne was a bit skeptical of almost all things, and he loved to think deeply about the human strengths and flaws and realized that we have a lot of flaws, he would probably chuckle to himself while pointing out that although artificial intelligence can outpace us in many ways, they're still prone to the same biases and goofs that we are. And what we built is actually like a supercharged echo chamber of our own ego. Also, keep in mind, Montaigne was a big history buff, so he'd likely get pretty serious about talking about how artificial intelligence could ruin our connection to the past. He would worry that we're disconnecting from what he would call the rich tapestry of human culture, and he would warn us with his last sip of coffee to not forget the lessons of the past. Now let's travel to the mid-1800s to meet Charles Darwin, and ask him if there's any parallels between modern artificial intelligence and his theory of natural selection. So picture this, the historical figure, Charles Darwin, you know that adventurous chap that's known for the theory of natural selection, but sipping his tea in the 21st century, engrossed reading the news around artificial intelligence. Now he'd probably find it fascinating how AI with all of its algorithms is getting smarter with feedback on every iteration. In a sense, he might think it's playing out its own survival of the fittest. He might marvel with ChatGPT on a laptop and say, look at this metal-brained whiz kid, learning, growing, evolving, just like the critters that I studied on the Galapagos Islands. Charles Darwin's eyes might sparkle as he thinks about all of the different industries that artificial intelligence is impacting. Because remember, he was a fan of all things science, and he'd probably be super fascinated as he learns how artificial intelligence can help us decode our own genes. Darwin, our old naturalist, would love a taste of this unnatural silicon-based intelligence. So now let's jump over to the wonderful world of Disney and talk about how Walt Disney himself would use today's artificial intelligence for a little bit of fairy dust, but not to replace the magic. Imagine Walt Disney is still alive today, and given his love for innovation and imagination, he'd likely see artificial intelligence like a magical paintbrush that can bring his characters to life in ways that we've never seen before. He might say something like, you know, from the day we invented the character Mickey Mouse, we've wanted him to have a life of his own. Well, artificial intelligence is like a bit of fairy dust, and it can open up a portal to a new realm of possibilities. But don't get me wrong, he would caution with a wag of his finger. AI is a tool, but not the artist. He would want Disney Studios to use it to boost creativity. He would probably think it's great to add AI glitter to a story, but it would take a human to weave the heart into the story. He would say that's on us. The true magic comes from the twinkle in a child's eye, their giggles at the funny faces, and the awe that our stories bring. Alright, this should be a fun one. How about Karl Marx? What do you think his thoughts on artificial intelligence and the way it intertwines with capitalism would be? If Karl Marx was alive today and he was asked to share his thoughts on artificial intelligence, Marx would probably be that guy in the room who's pointing out that it's not fair, arguing that the shiny benefits of AI should be shared by everyone equally, not just a few high-powered suits over at Microsoft and OpenAI and Google. Marx might also see artificial intelligence as ripe for creating the marks of a revolution, especially if it looks clear that it's going to lead to a mass unemployment or a growing inequality. He would also likely view artificial intelligence as both a means of production and a commodity in itself. In a capitalist economy, he might criticize how artificial intelligence is bought and sold and compartmentalized. It's pieced out and it's charged based on APIs to maximize the profits for business owners, which he would view as a tool that would further intensify capitalism. So now let's talk about good old Honest Abe. How would artificial intelligence influence Abraham Lincoln's view of society? If Abraham Lincoln was alive today and he was asked to give a speech about artificial intelligence, it might sound something like this. The times are indeed remarkable when machines can reason and learn. They stir within me both awe and a measure of intrepidation. They could usher in a new era of prosperity, one where no child shall go uneducated, no man unemployed, and no elder without care. But as with all tools that mankind hath created, we must tread thoughtfully into this new age, guided by the principles of equality, justice, and humanity which have guided us thus far. The true measure of artificial intelligence shouldn't be how well that it imitates man, but in how well that it serves mankind. These machines, capable of such rapid thought, must not outpace our ability to ensure ethical use. To see these artificial minds benefit all of mankind would be a heartening thought. Imagine Mozart, that rock star composer of his time, living in today's modern era, where music not just springs from a human soul, but also from the metal and circuits that make up neural networks. He'd probably be totally fascinated, but like super weirded out. Look at these machines, he would think to himself. Creating music, they're creating their own symphony, each note a snippet of code. But can they really get to the emotional messiness that makes music, well, music? Probably the wildest part to him would be the fact that we feed in so much music that it can self-tune itself. But he'd probably also muse, can it really feel the music? Does it have a soul that can love and learn and cry in the same way? What if it can't capture the soul in the same way that we do? Okay, so we're done time traveling now, but I still want to infuse your life with profound meaning. PhiloGPT is a new large language model that's been fine-tuned to answer text in a very philosophical way. Now, a lot of people have been asking it this question: what's the meaning of life? And I'd like to read to you its response. Meaning is not predetermined, but instead it's constructed through personal actions, relationships, and values. While life's ultimate purpose might elude us, the ongoing pursuit of wisdom, love, and self-realization can infuse our existence with profound meaning. Thus, the point of living is to continually explore your values, nurture your relationships, and the mysteries of existence. We can find meaning and purpose by foregoing our unique path and striving for personal fulfillment, even without a universal answer. The beauty of life lies in the unfolding quest for understanding and the profound experiences that we encounter along the way. Smash that subscribe button.